Oh, all my relations, and good morning to you. This is Tony Gonzalez with another segment program, Eagle and Condor. And today, Thursday, November 27, 2025, my relatives, I'm on Alcatraz Island, aka The Rock, and we're here on this unthanksgiving day, as we call it. Thanksgiving Day, that is. And of course, Thanksgiving Day itself has a sordid story behind it. It's a myth about pilgrims and Indians eating together. But that's for another time, my relatives. But today we're here at the Rock to honor the warriors that occupy the island. November 1969 through June of 1971. And so we come here every year to honor them for the big step they took. They sent a thunderclap around the world when they occupied the island, and Red Power began. It woke up the world that they're here, that we're here, and still here. And so today is one of those days, and I tried to get some people to talk about their times coming to the island and a little bit about themselves and people that are involved in different organizations in the community. That's right, in the community is what we're talking about. And so this morning here on The Rock, my relatives, I've invited a good friend of ours, yours and mine, and that's Nane Alejandrez, and he's living out in Santa Cruz, and he's the executive director of Barrios Unidos. And so I'd like to reintroduce Nane Alejandrez, talk a little bit about himself and the great work that Barrios Unidos is doing. And Nane, I have to say, has worked extensively with incarcerated men and women and working with youth and working with homeless people. He's done this for several decades. I've said enough. Let him say the rest. Welcome, Nane Alejandrez.
Gracias, Tony. It's always an honor to be hanging out with you and Gavilan and all the crew here. It's an honor to be here today. You mentioned 71. 71, I was coming back from Vietnam. Got drafted in 69. 70, 71, I spent it in Vietnam. And right after that, they occupied this place, and so it has a historical meaning to me in terms of those that took the island and what was happening in the war, and the Native brothers that were involved in Vietnam, they came home, and there was some veterans here. There was veterans here from the war that took this place, and there's veterans that have been coming ever since, and here I am today, 2025, and yourself of being a Vietnam veteran also, and giving me inspiration to keep going. You send me out on a few, international missions, and I stayed true to the movement to keep working, trying to bring peace between our barrios, peace with in around the world, but basically also trying to go to the penitentiaries and bring some hope to the brothers, and also learn from them in terms of how to be resilient. And today we're celebrating, the freedom of Leonard Peltier, which gives us, a lot of inspiration to keep going, brother. So I'm glad, Barrios Unidos is 1977 we started. We're still going strong in Santa Cruz. We invite the community to come out to Santa Cruz, see what we're doing, and join the movement again. Those young ones that are out there, we got to unite, like Leonard has been telling us. We have to unite together.
And Nane, I'd like to bring out a longtime friend of yours who's passed on in the last several years here, Harry Belafonte. And I'd like for you to talk to us about Harry Belafonte, the friendship that you had with him, the invitations he extended to you many times to travel with him and like that. Please to share. And this is in solidarity, black and brown, Chicano, Indio, and African people solidarity, unity. Please.
Mr. B, as we call him, I never expected to be in the company of such a great civil rights leader, actor, and singer, and just an amazing human being, at that caliber. And to be taken in as a mentee and not really, never leaving me out. Like I was just a tag along. Always included me. Always included Chicano people. He was always, advocating for AIM. He was advocating for many of our culture's rights and stuff. So being able to travel with him to Venezuela, we met with Hugo Chavez for 7 hours, and that would develop a relationship that lasted, with the Chavez administration. But having Harry Belafonte travel with him to Kenya, and how much respect that the people had for him in Kenya, and just being around him was an inspiration.
Around Nairobi.
And around Nairobi, we went to Nairobi, Kenya, and then we went to Tanzania with Danny Glover, who was another individual that has really has been down with us, and want to support it, everything that he does, and just keep it going. You got to keep it going.
No, I'm glad you mentioned Danny Glover as well, and this again, we're just mentioning those names, but the black and brown unity and solidarity and working together is something that they've always been advocating for, including Harry Belafonte, as you say, and Nane. And just in closing, Nane, the great work that you all are doing down in Santa Cruz and Barrios Unidos, and you're involved now in a major capital campaign effort to help reconstruct your organization. Tell us about the facility and the campaign itself, and how people can help or know about it, and what website to go to, etc.
Well, as everybody has said, we are land-based people without no land. And in Santa Cruz, we were able to acquire a block of land and 5 acres up in the mountains of Altos Hills, where we have our retreat center, our ceremonial grounds. But we have to be able to create a sustainability institute of peace and development. So we want to make sure that this, they can call Barrios Unidos, look at our website, barriosunidos.net.org, and there'll be more information on that, and be able how to support. We have a campaign going, a $1 campaign. If we can raise $1 from individuals that are in the movement, we can pay off the land and continue to build for the next generations.
All right, Nane Alejandrez, thank you very much.
Thank you, Tony. Always.
Oh, my relatives, and here again on the rock, and to right now at this morning, the sun is just coming out. It's been windy, exceptionally cold, but everybody's here at Alcatraz for the Thanksgiving day is holding tough. We have Mexica dancers. Well, I'd say there's about maybe 4,000 people here, my relatives, and we're all praying for you. Those of you that didn't get up for the Thursday, the 27th, for the Thanksgiving Day, but like always, we pray together in solidarity. And again, like I said before, to honor the warriors that occupied the island here back in November of �69 through June of 1971. And here, my relatives, I have a very good friend of ours, yours, and the Bay Area, Greater Bay Area, and out of Sacramento in the San Joaquin Valley, Richard Montoya. Ricardo Montoya, a.k.a. of the Culture Clash people with Herb Sequenza, Rick Salinas, and Tony Burciaga as
right.
well before. Well, Ricardo, I'd like to welcome you to Eagle and Condor. If you can tell us a little bit about yourself. I understand you had a book out, or I mean you screenwriting.
Yeah.
You're doing some plays. Please talk to us.
Well, Tony, I'm just beside myself to be bearing witness and being on the rock with you all. I mean,
Oh,
you all have built something. The Treaty Council, the AIM West. You can feel all the communities and all the tribes here today, and an intermixing and a great Chicano and Chicana presence too. Nane is here, barrios and barrio warfare. So you can be standing in line and next to an elder that actually has served time here, and that's something incredible. Or someone that was here in '69, that a part of the occupation. So I'm humbled. I feel called to duty this morning. I came here last year and missed the last boat by 3 minutes with my son Mountain, who he got to meet you last
yes.
year, and I wasn't going to miss it this year because we can't take anything for granted. I don't know how many more years you and Gavilan, my compadre Miguel Molina, will continue to do this. You have served, you have built, along with tremendous amount of community. So I'm just I got off the boat, Tone, and I had to keep looking down because I the rock kept moving on me. It has a vibration, and you sense that right away that this rock planted in Mother Earth is moving the second you get off the boat. The boat's moving, right? But then you step on this thing and it's not like it's a vibration that's going out into the world, and I had to check where I was. I had to look down a few times because I felt that movement. And then one of the elders told me, "Your mother's welcome you. You're coming back.
Red power.
You're coming back home, and mother's been waiting for you, and she's that's the embrace." And he explained it rather succinctly, and so things like that have been happening all morning, and the ceremonia and the ritual, and to hear Leonard's voice. The last time I heard Leonard's voice like that, I was on the phone with him, and he was giving us instructions in L.A. how to carry out a particular concert we were doing to raise money for him and awareness. But it's all coming back,
That's Leonard Peltier.
Yes, sir. I'm sorry. And you and Miguel have always said, this is wide open to it. You've always held that invitation, but this was the first year I get to take it, and I didn't want another year to go by without remembering my father here, Jose Montoya, my son Mountain, all of our familias. And something goes really deep inside of you, and we're talking about forgiveness. We're talking about a call to action. Leonard is saying unity now more than ever. We are under attack. Our people know that we're under attack, and the tribes are under attack. We're under attack, and there's young women warriors out there that are facing brutal police forces, ranches, bullets, guns. All I did was get in a fancy SUV and drive myself from LA up here, but it was very important to be here this morning, man.
And Ricardo, you helped in the making of a movie, The Barrio, in San Francisco. Is that, or the Mission, or what was it?
That was called the Other Barrio,
The Other Barrio.
Based on a short story by Alejandro Murguia, El Gato. And he wrote a beautiful story about the rash of dwelling and apartment fires in the Mission District that were set purposely to make room for more expensive luxury condominiums. So it's an old story of land back and land taken away, and gentrification, and I'm really happy to hear of the different efforts that are going on in the native and artistic communities where housing is maybe a part of the equation. And so that was a short story made into a film that we actually filmed in the streets of San Francisco in La Mission with Rene Yanez, Lou Demete, Dante Boteo, and a crew of really hardworking people. We made it for like a couple of quarters, but it's a beautiful film, and I'm really proud to have co-written part of it, and I got to play the housing inspector in that film.
You're kind of like a Columbo type, you know. But Richard,
One eye
Ricardo,
that way, one eye that way. I was Columbo.
Ricardo, I was going to ask you, please. You just completed a rendition of Jerry Garcia.
Yeah, we did it.
Tell us about that.
I've always wanted to bring Jerry back to the mission where he's from. Not necessarily to, make a Chicano out of him because he was Spanish and Irish, but to investigate his family. He came from a grandmother on the Irish side that in the 40s and 50s was a major union labor leader in the shipping and the merchant marines. That's a woman back then. So his grandmother, Tilly, was a very strong woman. His mother was a very strong woman. And here's a kid at the age of 6 or 7. He loses a finger, as we all know. He also lost his father in a river accident up north, drowned in one of the rivers. And yet Jerry Garcia is not a figure that is defined by these tragedies. He loses a finger and later in life becomes one of the world's great guitar players. He loses a father, and then he creates a family called the Grateful Dead community. Tens of millions of people that are still together to this day. And that has a lot to do with the spirit of Jerry Garcia. And Jerry and his brother traversed the Mission District on their way from the Excelsior down to the Lower Mission, First and Harrison Street, where his mother had a bar in the late 40s and 50s. Again, unheard of for women. And so I wanted to bring Jerry back home and find those moments where his Spanish father was maybe not treated well. He lost his cabaret license as a young orchestra leader. And so when they take away your livelihood, men of color, raza, African-American folks, we know what that's all about, So I wanted, there was a way through the father, Don Ramon Garcia, that everything was taken away from him, including later his life. And I wanted to explore that relationship between Jerry and his father. Yeah.
Outstanding, terrific. I myself had the great pleasure of meeting Jerry Garcia.
You told me, I can't believe it.
Yeah, Bill Wapepa, our great leader, Bill Wapepa of American E-Movement, who helped bring everybody to Alcatraz back in 1975.
Wow.
And he took me to Kezar's auditorium there in Oakland.
Kezar, yeah.
And that moment, but Ricardo,
to the Kaiser.
yeah, Kaiser.
Kezar is over here in San
Oh
Francisco.
yeah, Kaiser. I met.
Yeah, that's a strange old hall. I saw some great shows there, but Tony, it's in screenwriting and playwriting, and in the creative world, we have the same call to action as the activists have. We've got to turn it up. We're bringing the wrong weapons and instruments to what is a street fight, and I'm not saying this is a street fight, but this is happening out in Mother Nature. This is not an office space. This is an outdoor shared space. So we talk about holding community. We talk about holding space. This is exactly what that looks like. So, and holding ceremony, and here we are. But I find that my work as the community worker, be it Native, Black, Chicano, and Chicana, is we have to tell our narrative and we have to get it straight. And I'm not so worried about the comedy anymore. I'm just worried about getting the stories accurate, like one of my dad's poems or a painting or something like that. So we've got stories all over the Bay Area, including this rock, that just haven't been told yet. Be it Chicanos in Berkeley on Telegraph in 1959, building driftwood sculptures on Ohlone, Emeryville mudflats. Other students observed that and went on to create Burning Man. So we have influenced the culture everywhere, but that flag is not planted and that story has not yet been told.
Oh, and Ricardo, yeah, your father, your dad, unforgettable, Jose Montoya, and yeah, professor at San Francisco or
Sacramento.
Sacramento,
Yeah.
and he talented man, artist, poet, and the singing group Casi Indio,
Yeah.
unforgettable music from out of Nuevo Mexico style y todo. And Ricardo, before we close here, I wanted to ask you what any projects you have in mind that you're unraveling with your great talent.
Absolutely, man. And there, I am working on that Berkeley piece, and then the Jerry Garcia piece is ongoing. I'm on my third film right now, a documentary film about yet another Chicano artist in LA. That if we don't do a film about him, it'll just go into the bin of obscure history. And there's a couple of brothers running around here, Benjamin and Peter Bratt, and I'm so proud of those cats because they are telling the story, and they're telling it properly. They're telling many stories, and they're doing it with elegance and class. And they come from that activism of their mother, who I was promised I get to meet today. But we're all storytellers, man. Everyone here is a storyteller. Every child here is a storyteller. So we have to continue to tell these stories. And I'm working on a very special project with the Bratt brothers, but I can't say too much about it because I don't want to jinx it, brother man.
All right.
But it's uber Chicano. We're going the other way. We're not trying to be Latinx or rom-com or Hispanic. We're going to be very, very Chicano and Chicana about it because if we blink, we'll be gone. And that's why everyone's out here today. We're planting this flag out here. The smoke. What Leonard said something today, like what we're coming with, you know? This is what we're coming with. Feathers, smoke, writing instruments, drums, you know. What we're coming with is what I'm gonna get on that boat and float away on. And so the task is very clear and it's in front of us, man. You guys are saying to us, now more than ever, we got to get sharpened. Less drinking, less partying, less messing around, and more that laser.
All right.
More of that laser focus.
Yeah, it's purification time.
Yeah, man.
Thank you very much, Ricardo
Tony,
Montoya.
one of my heroes.
And
You
of
are
course, you
my
mentioned Benjamin and Peter Bratt and
let me go find
their
them for
mom.
you.
Yeah, they're here somewhere. But
their mom.
for our viewers to know that they were here as young boys, like
they were,
10 and 11,
Yeah.
or very young at Alcatraz.
That's right.
During the occupation. And we're thankful that their spirit is still strong and moving forward.
Stronger than
All
ever.
right. Ricardo Montoya, thank you very much. Oh, my relatives, and here continuing with the interviews here on the Rock, a.k.a. Alcatraz Island. And, of course, we come here every year to honor the warriors that occupied the island from November 69 through June of 1971, and also to acknowledge the day that it is. Some people call it Thanksgiving, but many people say it's unthanksgiving. And there's that history of the first feast, which wasn't very good at all. That's another story, my relatives. But here on the Rock, I have a longtime good friend that I haven't seen in many years. But during his youth, he was very active. And Professor Ron Lopez. And Ron, please talk to us a little bit about what you've been doing since I think you were last out in Tripoli and in Libya back in, must have been in 88.
I think so.
Around there. But at that time, Muammar al-Gaddafi, and during that era, my relatives, he had gotten bombed by President Ronald Reagan, and Muammar Gaddafi's daughter was killed, and several others. We went there in solidarity as a peace delegation, and to find out more of what happened. So you have to sometimes go out of your country to find out what's happening in your country. and hearing it from other people. But Professor Ron Lopez, please talk to us about that and what you're doing
Right.
in general up north in Northern California.
Okay, well, my name is Ron Lopez. I'm a professor of Chicano Latino at Chicano Latino Studies at Sonoma State University. I've been there 20 years. I've been teaching full-time Chicano Latino Studies since 1999, originally at community colleges. And in that time, I've been active in different community organizations, including KBBF, First Chicano Community Bilingual Public Radio Station in the country before Radio Bilingüe. It was the inspiration for Radio Bilingüe. And it's true that I believe it was 1988 in Libya, and we were there in solidarity as AIM and all tribes, including the Chicano tribe and other people in solidarity. There was African Americans there as well. And we were there to learn. I was still very young. I didn't know very much at the time. But what I did learn is that one of the issues that came about was that Gaddafi was trying to create an African Union, and he was trying to create a separate African-based currency that would unite the African people, sort of what's going on in Burkina Faso right now. This effort to separate himself and to separate Libya and the other African nations from the colonial superstructure out of Europe. And what we're seeing today, of course, Gaddafi was overthrown and killed. But what we're seeing today in BRICS, this new economic system, is an effort to replace the petrodollar and an effort to displace the US dollar as the dominant world trading currency. And we're beginning to see this happen with some countries trading in the UN and things like that. So we're actually beginning to see a global change, and this is part of the reason that we're seeing the capitalist class panic in the way that it is. And I think that I'm hoping that we can someday live to see a multipolar world in which plurality and acceptance and peace and the empowerment of all of our nations is a norm and not only a hope and a dream. Because we see, for example, what's going on in Palestine, or the struggles that are happening in Southeast Asia against corrupt governments, including the Philippines. And this is all part of the same struggle that we're all part of, a struggle against corruption and a struggle for self-determination, justice, and full realization of ourselves as nations and as individuals.
Well, Ron, the economy is really putting a stranglehold on everyone, and the capitalist system, as it were, that has wrapped its tentacles all around the world. And there is a breakaway. And we are witnessing China, for example. I mean, not to get too far into foreign affairs,
Right.
but their economy is a mixed economy, socialism and capitalism combined. And I think the United States has missed the boat on that score in changing its economy. And so we'll see how that goes. But Ron, you were a young man when you went to Libya. And I think you were an editor or newspaper writer for the La Voz or some newspaper for the college.
I was a writer and the managing editor of La Gente de Aztlán, Chicano student newspaper at UCLA. And so I mostly wrote articles and coordinated to help to manage the newspaper. The newspaper still exists in a slightly different form, but it does still exist. They took off the name Aztlán, which I think don't agree with, but I'm not there. And I think it's important that we preserve these mediums and medias that are independent, that are community-based, that are, in this case, student-driven, so that these voices can be, people can express themselves. Because our young people need to have a way of expressing themselves.
Exactly.
And that's a form of empowerment. Now, they might not always do it perfectly. I know I didn't do it perfectly all the time, but it's the way we learn and we try to seek for something better.
And Professor Ron Lopez, tell us about Northern California and what you're doing, what you're witnessing, for example, with the ICE coming into our communities, raiding, taking people away, separating families. The social fabric is really deteriorating, being ripped apart. Can you give us a summary view of your take on the ICE raids and what we have to do to stay strong
Well,
as a community?
This is something that's happening at a national level. It's certainly happening in the North Bay, where people are actually afraid to go out. I have students that have had parents and other family members deported or not allowed to return to the country, and to have having their documents seized. So students are afraid to come to school. Some employers in the vineyards are having difficulty, mounting enough workers. There is a shift towards automation in some grapes. So that's something that's happening. That's an issue. It's an ongoing issue. But another issue is that at the state level, several laws have been passed that constrain educational and academic freedom, such as Assembly Bill 715, which purports to be a bill against anti-Semitism. But one of the problems is that it conflates anti-Semitism, prejudice against Jewish people in the United States, with opposition to Israel's war against the Palestinians. And I want to make it clear that we can be in favor of justice and non-discrimination for Jewish people around the world and still not believe that there should be a war of extermination, a war of genocide against the Palestinian people. That is not anti-Semitic to believe in that. But the conflation in this country, the mixing of the ideas that to be in favor of Jewish people having equal rights, you have to support the state of Israel. Those two things do not logically go together, but that argument has been pushed forward. AB 715 is a K through 12 law which basically will constrain the implementation of ethnic studies being taught in the high schools, because it places us all under threat. That there creates an independent office, an anti-Semitism coordinator, so any student can complain about curriculum, and that is outside of the regular process for faculty discipline, because there are already things in place if a faculty misbehaves, conducts themselves badly, or does something to discriminate against students. This creates a special office just to seek out anti-Semitism, which would include speaking honestly about the creation of the state of Israel and the current war against Palestine. And so it constrains our academic freedom, and it's bleeding into the CSUs and the UCs, and we're seeing the Trump administration and other politicians using anti-Semitism as an excuse to attack political freedom, the First Amendment, and academic freedom at the university level. And they're attacking, for example, students that are protesting for a ceasefire. This is a really serious thing, not just because, primarily because it's broader. It's creating a broad principle that the state can intervene and stop people from protesting for something that is a legitimate subject of protest. That's one thing. And it carves out a special area that discrimination that sort of points to discrimination against Jewish people as being especially severe, but it's against Latinos and immigrants and African Americans and natives. That is, most of the discrimination is against our communities. And it is active. It is manifested in these immigration rates. It's manifested in these high incarceration rates, in high traffic stop rates, in the extrajudicial killings of African Americans who are stopped for traffic, minor traffic infractions that a white person would be allowed to get away with. And so what we're seeing is we do need to address discrimination in all of its forms. But in this particular way, certain sectors, not all, but certain sectors of the American Jewish community, I think, are unwittingly allying themselves with the most extreme right-wing elements who are themselves the biggest purveyors of anti-Semitism. But they're using it against us. They're using it to attack ethnic studies, because Chicano studies, African American studies, Native American studies, Asian American, we talk about colonialism. We talk about settler colonialism. We talk about efforts to, subordinate whole nations because of our resources, to seize our land. Manifest destiny and the Monroe Doctrine are part of that. And that's part of the reason why I believe so many Americans look what's going on over there, and because it's so similar to Manifest Destiny, it makes sense to Americans, but they're not understanding that even Manifest Destiny is this deeply problematic justification for racial conquest and land seizure and genocide. And we have to rethink these concepts that have been reified in American history.
Right. I'd be leery of anyone that says God ordained it.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. So we'll take a look at that AB 715.
AB 715.
Who's the author of that, by the way?
Zebur, Z-B-U-R. And it's but it's been passed, and it has been signed by the governor. It's going into effect in January, and it is going to have a chilling effect on the teaching and the implementation of the teaching of ethnic studies, which was mandated by Assembly Bill 1460.
Wow.
So we're in for some hard times in public schools and in higher learning.
Well, Professor Ron Lopez, thank you for alerting us to us, and thank you for your time here on the Rock, Alcatraz Island.
Thank you, Tom. Appreciate it.
Oh, my relatives, and here once again on the Rock, I have invited some people to join me, and in particular, I have a good friend here on my left side here, Dr. Stanley Rodriguez. And Dr. Stanley Rodriguez, we've talked before. You're the president also at DQ University. That's about 7-8 miles west of UC Davis. And Stanley, welcome here to the Rock. Please tell us about yourself. What brings you to the Rock?
Well, how can I Benjamin came to the Rock to support the what's happening here at Alcatraz, and the history of our Native movement and our struggle that continues today. So I brought some friends with me, and I'd like to introduce you to them. To my left is Ksenia and her spouse, Karina. They're both from Russia. Ksenia is a native from Siberia. She speaks her language. Karina is going to translate, and they want to talk about some of the things going on in their country.
All right, Senor. And I don't know if that's anywhere near Kamchatka, but please, if you would introduce yourself.
Дорабурун, меня там Ксения Большкова, мен таймыртан хыгзар хахабын, би чукокатан раккановорот.
Hello everyone, I'm Ksenia Bolshakova, and I'm from the nation Dolgan, and it is really far from both Kamchatka and Chukotka.
Бүгүн манна келен берт өребин манна биги бир жанноргутта турохбутун бирге биги нюча хир аныга зери жаннору катабыттарын кайбыттарын аныга зери токубабаттар овы хигер аны атын кийлереме кая барбыттар.
The situation in Russia is pretty complicated because the colonization there is not recognized, and the state makes everyone to be as just one nation as Russians without taking into consideration our own ethnicities.
Ануда бейлеринере билине аны Украина дейін хиргеме барбыттар. Олару биһиги генеригитта бирга турабыт Украина херита хох болун.
And it is the whole colonial issue. You probably know about the ongoing war in Ukraine, and this is a colonial war Moscow is doing against its neighbor. So first they did it to our nations, and now they expand.
Min beyem hakatынан huruyar huruksuppun. Onna min beyem ülem tugunan jibin min beyem speechka kurdukpun hogotoq. Overati manna kelemin tolkubun bi barıbıt da bebit hogotoqtu speechka da bolan bi barıkamut bir olahan od bolavut.
And with my friends, brothers and sisters, I try to do real decolonial fight. And one of my battles is writing in my native language. I do write decolonial novels because it's at the same time being pronounced as a nation, and also it is a match for making fire for my nation.
Onna bi barıkamut manna komovan baran barıbıt birdi speechka bolan baran barıbıt bert olahan oton orabut bayebit jammutugar kömüleheri tubutun karıstarı onna bebitin emi karıstarı.
Today on this stage, on this rock, we saw so many matches who came here to do our common indigenous fire. And this is the fire that will enlight our hearts.
Oh, well, I want to thank you both for your translation and your visit here, and the impressions that you have here visiting the rock or Alcatraz, and especially to honor the warriors who occupied the island in November 1969 through June of 1971. So I want to thank you both. And of course, Dr. Stanley Rodriguez for introducing and bringing them to the rock. Any closing words, Stan Rodriguez?
I just want to thank you for all the work that you do. We've known each other since we both lived at the AIM house in the 80s. It's good to see you again, my brother.
Oh, all right. Thank you all. Oh, my relatives, and here continuing on the rock here on Thanksgiving Day, and to honor the warriors who occupied the island once again, November 1969 through June of 1971. And once again, I invite Dr. Stan Rodriguez to talk to us about another guest that he brought to the rock to visit us from Guam.
Well, again, it's an honor to be here, and I just want to introduce my friend Vince Diaz, who is from Guam, and he is doing work with revitalizing the maritime culture, the maritime native organic science. He can tell you more.
All right. Yes, please, if you would talk to us. Is it professor or you're teaching there in Southern California?
Yes.
Vince Diaz.
Thank you. Hafade Jan Kasalale Manko, Tony. It's though I'm from Guam and with lineage to other Micronesian islands, I come here by way immediately of American Indian Studies at UCLA. And before that, proud American Indian Studies at University of Minnesota, Twin Cities. Before that, University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign. And of course, we know in the Pacific, first of all, we're very familiar with Alcatraz, but also the International Indian Treaty Council. We know that we've worked with the Treaty Council and other activists and organizations.
Excuse me there, Vince. And in particular, perhaps you knew Hini Wirangi
Absolutely.
of New Zealand, Aotearoa,
Yes.
land of the long white cloud.
Hina Wirangi, in fact, I was a grad student in 1986 in Santa Cruz, and you guys brought her out here, and
there.
so that was, I met her there. I probably met you then. That was like maybe over 30 years ago. And I used to come up to the Oakland place with you guys. But those are the Alcatraz and the work by the council. Like I was saying, was absolutely crucial in the movements for independence and that are still going on across the U.S. Pacific Islands. And it's a real honor to be here. And I know I speak for a lot of my colleagues and comrades across the Pacific who wish they could be here as well. But I also wanted to say that as in this place, and I also want to say that the other important thing about Alcatraz for a lot of us academics now is that, of course, the one of the big legacies of Alcatraz is the creation of Native studies across Turtle Island, but across the rest of the world, and that's becoming more and more. We're gaining stronger mass. I was honored to be the past president of the Native American and Indigenous Studies Association, one of the largest associations of Native scholars around the world, and so being here on the Rock in the 55th anniversary is a real not only honor but almost feels like a homecoming.
And Vince Diaz, please, can you tell us some of the burning issues that your people are faced with down in Micronesia and in the islands that you're at? Please talk to us, because it was nuclear bombed out there as well, and now they have what they call jelly babies, deformed babies. Tell us about some of the issues like that.
Absolutely. Unfortunately, the same basic issues are still plaguing us. It's the use of the Pacific for military purposes. Of course, in our part of Micronesia, the Marshall Islands was used for nuclear testing for a long time. When we drove up from LA yesterday, we passed by Vandenberg Air Force Base, just up there past San Luis Obispo. So the United States continues to shoot missiles from Vandenberg Air Force across the Pacific, and they get tracked and they get dumped in the Marshall Islands to this day. So even if the United States has stopped nuclear testing, it's still continuing its ballistic missiles. But the nuclear legacy continues on with the contamination in across the Pacific, across Micronesia and Guam. Chamorros, my Chamorro relatives are dealing with the relocation of in the middle of the relocation of thousands and thousands of Marines and their dependents from Okinawa. That puts a big social and environmental pressure on the island. A big part of the northern part of the island had to be. That was one of the last pristine areas. Was cleared to build a Marine base and live ammo, war training. And so the social and the ecological disasters of military use of the islands still continue.
Vince Diaz, this is for a bigger conversation down the road. I'd like to have you on Eagle and Condor show at another time, and we can also include a video perhaps about what the issues are that you're talking about as well.
To do that. It'd be an honor to do that.
I want to thank you very much for your time. Thank you.
Tony.
And I want to thank Dr. Stanley Rodriguez for introducing the people from Siberia, of Russia, talking to us about their issues, and Vince Diaz of the Micronesian Islands. Thank you. Any closing words for you, Stan?
The only thing I just want to say is at 6 p.m. tonight, we're having a dinner at GQ University. You're all welcome to come. It's a potluck, so bring something.
All right. Thank you. Oh.